So why would you override equality for reference types? Well, if you're happy for equality for a certain type by default to mean reference equality, then there's no need to do anything. The only reason for you to fiddle with .NET's equality behavior for a reference type is if you want to replace the default behavior with some kind of value semantics. So you can already see that overriding equality is going to be less common for reference types than value types. But I'm going to push this point a bit more. Let's say you have written a type and you want equals equals to compare values, not references, for that type. I'm actually going to stop there and say, are you really sure you want to do that? Reference semantics are well understood by most developers. It's what developers who use your code are likely to expect, because it's how almost every reference type, apart from string and delegates, behaves. So we have a good reason for not fiddling with equality here. Having said that, I'll mention a couple of cases where it might well be worth overriding equality. First, if you have a class that basically wraps a string, then it may make sense to have equality mean value equality, because that's what you'd expect in C# for strings. And secondly, you might want to override equality if you are writing classes that represent mathematical objects. For example, if you had a class that represented a mathematical vector. And that's simply because in mathematics you might well want to be able to use notation such as vector1 == vector2 with the mathematical meaning of equality. But neither of these are clear-cut cases. I recommend that if you are considering overriding equality for some reference type that you are coding, then do think about how your class is going to be used, and basically about whether overriding equality will make using it more intuitive and easier or not. The answer could go either way, depending on the purpose of the class and how it's going to be used. I'll also point out that if you want to give developers the ability to compare instances of your type to see if they contain the same value, you don't have to do it by overriding equality for the type. You can instead write a separate equality comparer that implements I_equality comparer of t using the techniques that I'll show you later in this course. That will allow you to plug in value-based equality whenever you need it and give just as good functionality, although with the proviso that you won't have the syntactical convenience of being able to use the == equality operator notation for it. The slide shows a code snippet that shows roughly how you would check for equality using an equality comparer. So let's assume we've been through this argument and you are insistent that you do want to make food and its derived classes use value equality by default. Okay, at this point I will give up arguing and I'll show you how to do it.